I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like episode 7 and episode 8. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back in with another video, and this is going to be episode number 32 of the Starkiller base mock build series. This is a super important episode insofar as we are finally going to mostly finish the hangar section. It's been such a long time coming. I've been working on this section of the mock for such a long time now, and we're finally going to get to see the conclusion of it. I'm not going to get to the lights or any of the specific things like that, but for the most part, we're going to finish up the hangar section. Before we get into today's update, I did want to give a very special thanks to those of you who donated via the live stream this week. If you guys are not tuning into the live streams, I certainly urge you to do so. It is a great way for you to not only see the mock early before the update comes out, but to also hang out with some boyos, talk Star Wars. We got some pretty fun conversations on those. But I'd like to give a very special thanks to brickfreak, freshbricks, Alex McBrick, Chris Blank Productions, binks, Mark Parisher, Xavier Sorrent, Sandy Boy, Solid Brick Studios, and Matthew T for your donations this week. I really appreciate it. You guys helped so much in making this mock a possibility. I cannot express to you how grateful I am for your contribution. So thanks to you guys for that. I'm not going to delay it any longer. Let's go ahead and jump right into the mod, guys. To get things started this week, I actually did a live stream and I placed most of these tiles here on the hangar floor to get it mostly covered, and it's looking pretty freaking good in my opinion. I especially love how it contrasts with the walls going up. Super happy to finally have most of this covered. I've been making it such a point in the past updates to say I need to get this done because I'm getting tired of looking at these colors here, and I finally got it done. Well, for the most part. I actually left this section right here open because this is actually going to need to be like a little console station with some computers where like first order guys are going to be working, and I don't want to place tiles here until I know where all those things are going to be, because I'm going to probably need to have like studs exposed to connect them to. So while that's going to be on the wait for the minute, I am just really happy that I got all the rest of this tiled up. There will be other things sitting around, but they don't necessarily need to be connected to the floor of the build. They can just be like cargo crates that can be sitting around wherever. It's not really going to make a huge difference. But one other thing I did was I added in these pieces right here, these circle tiles with the hole in them. And those are actually there because there's going to be a stud that sticks in all of them, all 6 of them. And there's going to be lights in the floor of the actual build here, so that's going to look pretty good. One other thing I did was I added the hole in the floor right here and actually a window on the side, and the point of this is for the crane whenever you're like operating it and you want to drop a figure down in, I guess, the scoring zone, quote unquote. That's what this is going to be here for. So I'm actually going to design it to kind of look like an elevator on Starkiller base, so that's why I haven't put any walls or anything inside of it, so it actually looks like it kind of makes sense here. But that's why I went ahead and added that square in the floor so we can have a spot to actually drop the figures down into. I think that'll make it a little bit more fun to interact with, but everything else is looking pretty solid here. What I'm actually going to go do right now is work on some of the cargo crates. That's something I'm just going to need all throughout here. There's lots of cargo and things like that hanging out on the hangar floor, and those are really going to be the last touches to make this hangar section fully detailed. So want to go work on those and actually show you guys what I come up with. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, now that we got the floor of the hangar section tiled off, I went ahead and put together some details to add to it, some little bits and bobs, cargo crates, consoles, just things that belong in that area to add a little bit more detail. I really wanted to task myself with using some unconventional build techniques with a few of these, so I'm actually going to step you guys through each one of these cargo crates or consoles and show you some of the more interesting things about them. I feel I don't show enough of like specific build techniques in my build updates, so I wanted to make that a point of emphasis in this update today. One thing I do want to say before we get into the specifics is that I'm really happy with the way these all came out. I'll actually be showing you guys some reference photos that I used to kind of come up with these designs. Most of them are as accurate as I could get them. I think this one specifically is probably the most accurate. A few of the other ones I really just kind of had to look at a faraway picture and then fill in the blanks myself. But I like that. It gave me some creative freedom to come up with, I think, some pretty cool details to add to this build. We're first going to check out these hexagonal cargo crates. These are probably the ones that you see most often on Starkiller and just various first order installations. This is a pretty recognizable cargo crate, I think. I've seen it in Battlefront, I've seen it all over the place in Starkiller base, so it was actually pretty imperative to get one of these built. The build technique I had to use to come up with this was pretty interesting, I think, to say the least. This was easily the most difficult design to come up with because hexagons are kind of tough to build in Lego, so just being able to get this general shape was quite a bit of a hassle. I went through many different iterations before I ended up with this, but I really like what I ended up with. So to kind of give you guys a look at the inside of it, first thing I'll actually do is just take off the tiles on the sides. So you'll see that there are hardly any stud connections on this build at all. These clips actually came super in handy to make this entire thing possible, which I really did appreciate. So these clips are actually what hold these tiles on, and this clip to like anti-stud connection is actually pretty decent. Like, it has a decent amount of clutch power, definitely more clutch power than you would think, especially when you're connecting it at an angle. So that's a technique you could use down the line if you just need a tile to be connected at an angle somewhere like that. It actually works out pretty well. What's actually even more interesting, I think, is that these are basically two mirror builds. Like, the top is the same thing as the bottom, they're just flipped, but the only thing holding these two sections together, or four rather, are these clips right here. So what I basically ended up doing was building like this, the top and the bottom, and then I was trying to figure out, like, how the heck can I get these two things to connect? Like, I have a finite amount of space on the inside, so I couldn't use, for example, like the 1x1 with the lamp holder inside of there, so I had to come up with something, I guess, a little bit more creative, and this clip ended up being perfect to connect these two things together. So you can see it just kind of snaps on like that, and then the tiles just sit in those sand green clips like so. And you got yourself a hexagon right there. So I actually quite like this design. It is not the most stable build. You kind of got to be careful with handling it, but it'll be good enough to be sitting on Starkiller base. So that's really the most important. Next up, we have these two cargo crate designs. The smaller one is actually pretty close. Like, it was honestly kind of shocking how close this Lego piece resembles what you see on Starkiller base. I can pull up a picture of it right now, and you can see that the cargo crate looks pretty similar to this one right here. So I was pretty happy with this. I went ahead and put the tiles on the other side just to give it a little bit more detail. I like it. It's very reminiscent of the cargo crates I had on Vardos, so it was kind of nice to be able to use similar techniques to that in this build. But for these larger cargo crates, these were super fun to come up with. I wanted to do something unique and different looking. That's kind of how I came up with this ringed design, and I'm actually really happy with it. This is the one I really had to take some creative liberties on, because I can pull up a picture of the cargo crate I was most inspired by to come up with this build, and you can see that the picture is just not great. Like, I had to fill in a lot of blanks to come up with this design, but I really do like the way it came out. This is another assembly where basically the top and the bottom are mirrors of each other for the most part, and they're actually held together mostly by these tiles right here. So if I take these off, I think they should actually just totally split apart. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. So the inside's pretty interesting. There's just a Technic 1x2 brick with two holes in it, and then we have some bracket pieces that allow you to connect these outer sections to it. And then once it's done, it all closes up, and those grill tiles actually keep this thing secured. So I love this design. I love the console on it as well. And I'll probably want to build a few more of these to put elsewhere on Starkiller. I like this design so much. I'd definitely love to get more of these built. I just only had the parts, specifically these black arches right here, to build 3 of these. Next up, we have some consoles and computers that I think look really, really nice. You can see to the right section of Starkiller base, there's basically a group of consoles and computers that they'd be doing whatever the heck they do on Starkiller base in the hangar. The first thing I'll show you is this small console I came up with. I like this design a lot because it actually utilizes a gun on the inside. You can see that's actually a gun piece. Hold on, I can maybe pull this apart. That's like the handle, and then the gun actually comes through there. And the nice thing about this piece is that it has studs on 3 sides, so I could actually cover all that up with some tiles to give it a nice smooth look. And then the handle that comes off right here was just nice to connect the screen to at an angle. It actually worked out pretty well. So I went ahead and also added a trans red tile to it just because I feel that's pretty consistent with the first order aesthetic, and went ahead and put together 3 of these. So I think these look really nice. I'll definitely be using these in various places in the MOC. I actually really do like this design quite a bit. The next bigger console design are these bad boys right here. I really like these as well. I do like how on these panels there's like the red screens, because once again it's pretty consistent with the first order aesthetic, that 1x4 black tile with the sticker on it, and then there's just 2 black screens up top, and they're kind of angled to look down at whoever would be using them. And one other cool thing I did with this was I added this like pipe connecting to it just to add a little bit more detail to the back, because I realized when you're looking into the hangar, this screen would actually be facing away from the viewer, so I wanted to give it a little bit more detail on the backside. That's kind of also why I decided to use these headlight bricks, because they have a little bit more depth in there. Also, as kind of an Easter egg, I thought it'd be kind of funny to put the printed selfie stick Ninjago guy tile on there. And finally, we have these 2 large cargo crates that you can see over to the left side of the hangar on Starkiller base. And these are pretty simple, I think. They're just some tiles with some bricks on the inside. I actually do quite like this pattern along the side, and the fact that the top is mostly smooth. I actually wasn't planning on putting these ingot pieces in that dish there, but once I had these built, I realized I need a little bit more detail on the top, so that influenced me to add those parts there. To give you an idea of the construction, here you can see it's just 4 walls on their sides actually, and there's actually bricks with studs on the sides to connect the tiles there. And then the top is actually kind of connected kind of in an interesting way. You can see there's like a clip there and a clip there, and it's actually kind of 2 pieces, well, mostly 1 piece, 2 pieces that come together like this, and then these orange sections just connect into both corners of the cargo crate right here. So what I'm really hoping to get across with just going through these build techniques is maybe to just let you guys know some cool things that you could be implementing into your own builds. Like I said, I don't do this enough in the series, so I figured that'd be a nice point of emphasis this week. But now that you guys have actually seen all these cargo crates consoles, let's go ahead and install them on Starkiller base. Wow, this is exactly what I envisioned this scene to look like, and I could not be more happy with the way this came out. I first just want to say, how awesome does it look to get these photos and these videos of the hangar, and also to have the wall, the giant wall, and that hallway in the background. I think that is just the coolest thing ever. And one of the things I enjoy so much about the MOCs I do, just the scale, how you can be looking at one thing and there's just something monumental in the background. I love that so much. It just really helps lose yourself in the MOC, and it just really helps to lose yourself in the MOC and puts you right in the movie where these scenes were taking place. So I got all this tiled up. You can see right here, even got the little command center with the consoles there. Even got some of the big helmet boys working on them. Get a better angle from this side. Really like the way that turned out. I think it looks pretty incredible. And I also added a first order officer here who is basically just overseeing what they're doing. I added a troop coming out of the door there. I believe at this point in the film, they would have been telling everyone to like lock down the hangars because they figured Rey's going to try to escape somehow. So I imagine they probably sent that guy to tell all these dudes on the platform to watch out for her and to start locking things down. Over to the right, we have the TIE Fighter. Of course, that's been sitting there for a while, but now we have some pilots. We have 2 pilots here. One of them's just making their way back over to the TIE Fighter, so that looks really good right there. Added these cargo crates over here. You can see those look pretty good, stacked up right there next to the TIE Fighter. Also added the other cargo crates over in that corner. And I have a guy here, he's on a data pad. I imagine he would be like taking inventory or something like that. I actually like the way his figure looks placed right there. And then over to the far right, we have a group of stormtroopers, and then there's a couple of those hexagonal crates right there. I ended up with 3 of those left over, you can see right there, so I'll probably use those somewhere else on Starkiller base. But for now, I think this platform just looks absolutely incredible. One thing I didn't finish was the elevator section right there, the hole in the floor. I figure that'll be something I can do between now and the next update. But just the way this thing looks is so good. I feel like I've been working on this for so long, and this is the first real look I've gotten at this thing as it's come together. Forgive me, it's kind of difficult to get shots of everything on this platform together, but you can tell from here it looks really nice. And like I said earlier, the fact that those walls are in the background on both sides, I think makes a huge difference. And it'll make an even bigger difference when there's the lights in the ceiling in that hallway. I think that'll make it look even cooler. So everything's looking pretty incredible here. I did also add those blue studs where the lights would be. And I can't say enough things about this platform. This is exactly how I wanted this to look. This hangar is just massive. I think it's very visually appealing. Lots of colors here, the whites and the reds and the TIE Fighter, the shiny black floor, the gray walls with the white lights on the sides of those. And then of course you just finally have all those troops and minifigs populating this area. This is exactly what I wanted out of this section. I want to try to get up and maybe get a better shot, just a wide shot, so you can get a better understanding of what all this looks like together. So the one thing that is kind of missing is, of course, the crane. I'm still making some modifications to that. I'm not super pressed about making any progress on that at this point because I know I have more important things to be working on. But I did want to say that this is probably the last time you're going to see me working on this hangar for a while. Like, I still have to do the lights, so I'll, of course, be installing those at some point soon. But I think for now, I'm happy with where this hangar stands. There's still a few things I need to finish off, like the top. This is just not finished. I need to basically make this bridge to the other side, which will be something I eventually do. But for now, I'd actually really like to make my progress to that side of the MOC. You can see, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually rotated this hangar section around so it's facing the correct way. This is where it will be oriented when the actual model is displayed at conventions that may or may not happen. But what I do want to do now is actually work on the Snoke's room over there. What I'm probably actually going to do is, rather than try to like just sit it over there and squeeze in between the couch and the tables, because there's not a ton of room in this room. Like, I actually had to move these tables over that way to even get between here. You see, I have tons of pieces on the floor. But what I do want to do is probably work on that Snoke room and the other room. I'm not sure how big it will be, but I will build it in such a way where I can transport it. I mean, I need to transport it anyways, but I want to build it in such a way where I can work on it in there, and then I can just place it here once I'm mostly done with it. I think it'll be much better to build something like that in my other official Lego room, where I actually have all my parts, all my like specific detail parts, and not just the bulk stuff I used to build with in here. But this is the hangar, guys. Like, this is what we've been working on for so long now. This is such a large section of the MOC. Honestly, when I first started this, I mean, I knew it'd be big, but I just did not anticipate this section to be this huge. Like, this section is actually rivaling the size of the stage area over there, which I totally did not expect once I started working on this. But I think it looks incredible. This is exactly how it should look, in my opinion. I think it'll look just perfect once we get that section right there all covered up. But for now, I'm more than happy with it. Let me know what you guys think about it. I think this has been such a long time coming. This is a milestone in this MOC, honestly. So we're going to keep moving forward. Let's go ahead and go to the end segment of the video. And that's going to finish up the update this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking it out. I'm so excited to finally be moving past the Hangar section. I think that it looks great. It is exactly what I was expecting, but it's time for us to move on to other things in this build, and you guys are going to next week get to see me finally start working on the big Snoke hologram room. I am super excited to work on that because I have some pretty good ideas for how I'm going to attack that build. If you guys like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.